Fred Schultz. How you doing?
Hi, I'm Fred Schultz, captain of Constant Pursuit, one of the most well-known paintball teams in the world today. I'm here to show you that paintball is not only safe, it's fun, and for everybody. When you're done watching this video, you too will have the edge to play your first game of paintball. Don't be intimidated by the game of paintball. It's fun, safe, and anyone can play. All you need is a set of basic equipment available at any good rental field. This is a standard paintball. It's 0.68 inches in diameter and has a gelatin covering with colored liquid inside. Although there are many types of paintballs on the market, it's important to pick a quality paintball that's designed to shoot straight and stand up to the rigors of storage and tough playing. As the game of paintball developed, so did the basic gun used to play the game. Today, there are 3 basic designs used on most fields and easily available to the average player. The smallest paintball markers are the pistol types. Pistol paintball guns operate with small CO2 cartridges and hold between 10 and 12 paintballs. The second type are the pump action guns. They have a longer barrel length, larger CO2 bottles, and they hold a hopper that is capable of carrying more paintballs into the field. When the pump is pulled back, a paintball from the hopper loads into the barrel. Pulling the trigger allows CO2 to enter the chamber and propel the ball out of the barrel. The third type of paintball gun is a semi-automatic. They are similar in design to the pump action guns, but do not require any motion to load the paintball. As you can see, they are capable of firing many more rounds than a pump gun. One of the most exciting parts of playing paintball is the ability to personalize your gun with accessories and add-on items that suit your style of play. Paintball hoppers come in many different sizes. Some players like to keep their gun light, while most professional players use the largest hoppers available. Air systems also come in many variations. Most markers use a large steel or aluminum bottle capable of shooting more paintballs than the smaller CO2 cartridges. The larger bottles can be filled easily at any good paintball field or store. Another item that's important to have is a squeegee. The paintball squeegee is a device used to clean the inside of a barrel if the paintball breaks before it's fired. All good players carry one onto the field. Probably the single most important piece of paintball equipment you'll carry with you is quality eye protection. These goggles are designed especially for paintball and have many special features that are not found in any other type of sports goggle. Players with glasses can wear them comfortably. Air vents aid in cooling the lens and face. A dual thermal lens prevents fogging, and the entire structure is designed to absorb the impact of a fired paintball. Other safety equipment can also make the game more comfortable. Gloves protect the hands while crawling through the brush, and knee pads can protect the legs from paintball hits and impacts with the ground. Whichever type of paintball marker you choose, be sure to pick a quality product that won't let you down. Choose a company that stands behind their work. JJ, this place is huge.
Well, Fred, it has to be, in order to produce thousands of guns a day.
Thousands of guns a day?
That's right, Fred. That's what it takes to meet the demand.
That's incredible. Can you give me a little tour?
Be happy to, Fred, but just as in paintball, our workers here have to protect their eyes.
Super, not a problem. This is just incredible, JJ. Well, we're here by the conveyor belt, so evidently this is where things are assembled.
That's right, Fred, and more than being assembled, they're tested as we move them down the line. For example, this is our latest creation, the Raptor.
Well, JJ, what's it take to develop a paintball gun like this?
Fred, the 3 most important things in a paintball marker when it comes to manufacturing is number 1, of course, the design and development of the gun itself. That takes hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours to bring the first one into the production facility. Then it takes the people themselves to build the guns with the highest quality standards. They have to pay very close attention to what they're doing and be very conscientious about it.
Yeah, I notice they're real meticulous when we're putting things together, and then it goes to a testing, right? Because I'm sure the tolerances have to be close because of the air pressure.
Absolutely, Fred. The Raptor, as it's built, will go down the line. It'll be tested, performance tested actually by each operator. It then goes on to the chronograph area where it's checked for velocity. It has to fall within our standards on velocity. From there, it goes to a leak test facility where it sits overnight to make sure we have no leakage problems.
So basically, if I walked into a store and I purchased this Raptor, I could just take it out of the box and go play with it?
Absolutely, Fred. We wouldn't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of man-hours to develop our products and then ship them without testing.
Well, I can tell you it was worth every penny because that is one fantastic-looking paintball gun. Well, JJ, you got thousands of guns going out of here every day. Where do you store all these things?
Come with me, friend. I'll be happy to show you the warehouse.
I would love to see that. You know, I guess if you're going to make thousands of guns a day, you have to have some place to put them. JJ, you've got a place to put them.
That's right, Fred. Plus all the individual parts, the boxes, and all the packing material is kept in this warehouse.
That is just unbelievable. You guys ship out of here also then?
That's right, Fred. We ship out of there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to every continent in the world.
Well, JJ, I got to tell you, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know it takes an awful lot to run this, believe me. But I thank you so much for taking your time, coming down and showing us around.
Fred, the pleasure's been mine. I look forward to seeing you on the playing field.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm here right now at one of the world's largest makers of paintballs, the Gold Cap Corporation, a division of Ivex. What do you say we go inside and meet the gentleman in charge of making your Brass Eagle paintballs?
Mr. Lucas.
Hi, Fred.
Mr. Carson, how you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I was just in the area and I thought I'd drop in and check you guys out. I see you make a lot more than paintballs here.
We certainly do. Gold Caps is a manufacturer of pharmaceuticals, nutritional products such as vitamin E, some cosmetics, and also some veterinary products.
Unreal. So what's the overlap with paintball then?
Well, actually, Fred, what we're talking about here is a basic technology, soft gel technology, in which the work we do on a drug, a cosmetic, is the same as a paintball. Same quality, same GMPs, same product development.
So there's quite a bit that goes into making a paintball then.
There sure is.
Say, what's chances of getting to see how paintball is really made?
Let's go.
I would love it. So this is where you make the paintballs.
We also have another facility in Falkenhagen, Germany, which is assisting us with our international clientele. As you know, we're exporting to Australia, South Africa, different other parts of the world. So we need the two facilities to take care of all of our customers.
Unbelievable. So this is where a paintball starts.
Yes, it does, Fred. And I'd like you to meet Chuck St. Louis. He's the manager of this process, and he's also a paintball player, too.
Is that right?
That's right, Fred. I go out and I check the performance of our paintballs out in the field.
Kind of keeps you in touch with the product, huh?
Certainly does.
Super. Well, maybe you can run us through this a little bit.
Oh, my pleasure. Yes, in this room here, we make the fill for the paintballs. We do our coloring, our mixing, blendings, everything right here. In this room, we make the outside gelatin of the paintball. We check it, it falls in our specifications, we drop it out into the gelatin tank and put it to the machine. This is where we put everything together, the gelatin, the fill material. It comes together, and with compression and heat, and as you can see, the ball falls down onto the chute and onto the conveyor. Now this ball will go down through into the dryers, and it'll pull in the moisture out of the shell. And then by the time it discharges into the chute, the operator will pick them up and put them on these white trays. At that time, they will start the drying process. They will go into the room where we dry them, pull the rest of the moisture out, and help the ball cure into the roundness that we want. After the drying process, we check the diameters of our paintballs using an optical comparator to make sure that we keep the ball round as can be for better flight, that you don't have problems with in your gun. The optical comparator checks the paintballs, the maximum, minimum pulls, down to the thousandths of an inch. This helps us fine-tune our machines to give us that round ball which you need, so you don't have problems with shooting in your gun and flying straight. And we're pretty unique because there's not too many manufacturers out there with these types of instruments. This room here is our packaging. This is where we package to whatever configuration our customer wants. 200 counts, 500, 2,500 counts. At this point, they'll run it through a weight scale, put it into the plastic bags, tie them up, seal the cartons up, put it on the pallet. Now they're ready for the customer.
Here we are at the start of our very first paintball game. But before we get going, here's some very important rules you should follow. Rule number 1, never take your eye protection off on the playing field. Rule number 2, never take your gun out in public or shoot it in unmarked areas of the paintball field. Rule number 3, always keep your barrel plug in until the game starts and when you're not playing. Rule number 4, avoid hitting players at short range. Most players will give up if you give them a chance, and they'll thank you for it. Rule number 5, when you are hit, walk off the field in silence. Rule number 6, remember to follow any special safety rules that each field may have. Also, one of the most important things to look for when you go to a field is the chronograph. Every field you play on must have a chronograph. The chronograph measures the speed of the paintball as it leaves the barrel of the gun. In today's play, most fields have a speed limit between 280 and 300 feet per second. It is extremely important that you follow the speed limits of the field to avoid injuring other players. Okay, you have your equipment and you know the rules. What do you say we take a look at your first engagement against another paintball player? Player 1 and Player 2 have sighted each other in the brush. They start shooting at each other. Player 2 is hit. He feels it, looks to confirm it, and yells, "Hit." Player 2 stands, puts his barrel plug in, and walks off the field. That's all there is to it. Notice that Player 2 actually turned to make sure the paintball broke when it hit him. Be sure to look or feel around to make sure that the paintball broke, because even if it didn't break and you yell "hit," you're still out of the game. The other thing you should notice is that as soon as Player 2 yelled "hit," Player 1 immediately stopped shooting at him. If you think you've hit someone and they haven't yelled "hit," you can call a paint check on that player.
Judge, check that man! Paint check!
When this happens, a judge will walk over and check the other player. He will tell you to stop firing as he looks for a hit on the player's clothing and gear. If the player is clean, the game continues. Sometimes you may be in a situation where you find yourself very close to an opposing player. You both shoot it out, and the other player calls for a paint check. A judge will come over and check both players.
Turn around.
If you're both clean, the judge will give you a few seconds to run and continue the game. All right, so you finally get hit. What really counts as an elimination? If you're hit anywhere on your body or your gun, you're out. In most fields, a hit is counted as anything larger than a quarter. Spray doesn't count. Be sure not to wipe a hit off, or you will be accused of cheating and asked to leave the game. Now that you know what to expect when you face another player, what do you say we go over some of the more popular games in paintball today? In the early days of paintball, the individual games were popular due to the few numbers of people playing. Some of these games are still a lot of fun today. The basic individual game is played in the woods and has each player pitted against every other player. A series of flags are positioned in the field. The object of the game is to either capture as many flags as you can or eliminate the other players. One way to win is to wait in ambush and eliminate the other players as they go for the flags. If you're lucky enough to get a few flags, be careful. If you get tagged, you have to give them up to that player. A variation on this game has no flags at all. The entire game is nothing but a free-for-all. When you get hit, you leave the field, check in with the judge, and enter the game again.
Right the field.
After about 20 minutes, the winner is the player with the least hits. Probably the most common game you'll play at most fields will be the team game. And the most popular team game is Capture the Flag. The game is played in the woods with two teams starting at two different bases. At each base, a flag is hung. The object of the game is for each team to advance to the other team's base, grab their flag, and return it to your team's base. If your team is able to grab the flag and the player running with it is hit, the other team has to defend the flag in that new position. Some fields allow the team to take the flag back to their base to defend it.
Got it.
Another very popular team game is Speedball. Speedball is played in a small area with bunkers or barrels. The teams start at opposite ends of the field, and the goal of the game is total elimination of the other team or center flag. Speedball usually happens very quickly due to the short ranges and numbers of people playing. Watching your angles is the most important aspect of this game. You really have to pay attention not to expose yourself over the barriers. Another form of team play is the trail game. The basic game is played on a road or trail with both teams starting at either end. A single flag is placed in the center of the field. The object of the game is to grab the flag and move it past the starting position of the other team. The only catch is the flag cannot leave the trail. If a player is carrying the flag, he has to drop it on the trail to take cover. As with Speedball, a great deal of paint flies around a game like this. As you can imagine, there are 100 different ways of playing the game of paintball. Ambush assault involves two teams. One team has a 10-minute head start and heads into a thickly wooded area to protect a single flag. The other team then sets out to get the flag. As you can imagine, this game generates a great deal of tension and is usually played at close quarters. Predator is another popular game that has both the individual and team elements in it. One or two players are selected to be the predators. They are given a head start and run into the woods. The other players then go out and try to find them. Usually the predators are given an edge, such as a semi-automatic gun, to counter the numbers on the other team.
Now that you have a basic idea of the game, it's time to talk strategy and tactics.
In the basic game, your team will be made up of two parts: an offense that goes after the other team's flag, and a defense that remains behind to protect your flag. Some teams are very aggressive and leave no defense, while other teams leave everyone back and wait for the other team to come to them. Whichever strategy your team uses, here are a few tips. Tip 1. Before the game begins, assess the other team's base. Keep your eyes open and ask yourself these questions. What kind of guns do they have? Do they have enough air and paint for a long game? Is their base easy or hard to defend? Did anyone overhear their plans?
Okay guys, here's the plan. How you
Tip
doing, man?
2. If your team splits up, try to pick squads with natural groups of friends and coworkers, as they usually work better together. Tip 3. Have 1, 2, or even 3 backup plans. In paintball, things change quickly. Be ready for anything. Tip 4. Communicate with your team members. It's natural to be as quiet as you can, but the reality is you have a better chance of winning if everyone is communicating during the game. If you see someone moving ahead, yell their position out.
In front of you, right there!
Not only will it stop them in their tracks, but chances are one of your teammates has a better shot at them. One of the worst mistakes you can make is hitting your own player. Even worse is to hit them when they're running back to your base with the opposing team's flag. Have a code word that everyone knows so this won't happen.
Blue team coming in.
Now that you know some of the general do's and don'ts of paintball, I want to get into some of the finer points of offense and defense.
The typical defensive strategy involves leaving almost all of your team behind to defend the flag. The goals of the team are to 1. Keep the other team from reaching your flag. 2. Hit as many of the other team's players as you can. And 3. Send an offense out after you have eliminated most of the other team's players.
Although this may sound simple, there are a few disadvantages to this strategy.
For the first part of the game, everyone will be sitting and waiting. This can be hard on the nerves, and you won't know where the other team is until they reach your fort. If the game progresses too far before you send an offense out, your team could be in big trouble. The other team knows exactly where you are, and the final battle will be at your base.
Whatever degree of defense your team chooses, here are a few tips to keep in mind.
1. Find positions where the defending players can see the flag. Sometimes a player will defend their position to the end, just as their flag is being taken behind them. 2. Find defensive positions with overlapping fields of view. When the opposing players approach, you can catch them in a crossfire. 3. Move away from the base for your first defensive position and have 1 or 2 backup spots that are closer to the base. 4. Avoid moving around in the base. By standing and walking around, you're telegraphing your position and the number of players to the other team. 5. If the terrain permits, send a couple of players out to scout the approach of the other team. They may be able to tag some of them as well as give you an early warning of their approach.
Now let's talk about team offense. Some of your basic goals are:
1. Locate the other team's flag. 2. Coordinate with your squad to capture the flag. 3. Capture the flag and return it to your base to win the game.
Although this sounds simple enough, a successful offense requires teamwork.
1. When moving, try to keep visual contact with the members of your team. Security in numbers gives you the confidence to move. If you know someone is watching your back, you can concentrate on moving forward. 2. Do not bunch up into groups. As soon as a squad groups together, they become easy targets. 3. When moving, move one player at a time. A well-organized squad can move through any area with confidence. If an opposing player is spotted, the other members of your team can cover or assist you in eliminating them.
Now that you know the basics of team offense and defense, we can concentrate on individual skills.
When moving from one area of cover to another, look for large areas of brush or trees to hide behind. Stay low and do not stop in any open areas. Avoid natural lines, paths, and perfect hiding places for the opposing players. Evaluate overgrown areas that allow for watching the terrain and protecting you from paintballs. Take advantage of rough terrain, hills, or swampy areas the opposing team would avoid. Stay out of direct sunlight and try to keep the sun at your back. It will then be much harder to spot you. Always assume you are being watched. If you're moving and you spot an opposing player, just freeze. The human eye is drawn to motion and chances are good they won't see you. Wait for natural background noise before moving. A passing plane, a brisk wind, or the sound of other players firing will cover the sound of your motion.
Now let's talk about the key to good paintball, the skill of engagement.
Whenever possible, work with at least one other player when closing in on the opposition. Here are two classic maneuvers you can use. The crossfire technique works well against one or two opponents who are in similar terrain. You and one other player are separated but still in visual contact. One player engages the target player and attempts to keep his attention focused. At the same time, the other player is moving into a better position and hits the target player. Although this seems simple enough, the key to making this work is to keep the attention of the target always focused on the shooter. This may even mean standing or making yourself an easier target. The other key is for the moving player to keep his eyes open for opposing players doing the same thing to you.
The second technique is called the low man approach.
In this maneuver, a single opposing player is in a well-hidden area pinning down a group of your teammates. While your team lays down cover fire, one player gets down and begins to crawl towards the hidden opposition. Overhead, his teammates continue to fire and yell directions. At the right moment, the player crawling pops up, spots the target, and tags him.
The key to these techniques is teamwork and trust. But here are a few individual techniques that will help you in any situation.
1. Always get the initiative. If you shoot first, you're forcing your target to respond to you by ducking and staying low. These split seconds will allow you to move closer or cover the movement of a teammate. 2. Keep shooting. The more paint you fire, the better your chances are of hitting your target. 3. Be unpredictable. At some point, you'll find yourself facing 2 or 3 opposing players while hiding behind a base or tree. Pay attention to your cover and avoid popping up in the same place repeatedly. 4. Control your excitement. When you finally reach the opposition's flag, don't be blinded by the possibility of winning the game. Take your time and look for opposing players. The best way to lure you in is to lay low and wait for you to go for the flag.
That brings us to our last area of concern, individual defense. Here are a few tips to keep in mind.
1. Break contact as soon as possible. When you're taking fire from all sides, you want to get out of there. Don't try to fight it out. Back up, coordinate with your team, and try another approach. 2. Keep moving away from the area in a zigzag motion until you're out of range. 3. If you get caught completely by surprise and all else fails, hit the ground. When you're as low as possible, it becomes very hard to see, let alone hit you.
Now that you have a good grip on the basics of paintball, let's take a walk through our first game.
You're ready to play your first game of paintball. You've got your gun and you're on a team getting ready to go out. As you walk out to the field, you take a quick look at the other team. It looks like they all have semi-automatic guns with plenty of paintballs. Now you're inside your fort. Since this is your first game, you and a couple of others will stay behind to defend the flag. Your captain is also staying and explains Plan B. We're going to defend until there's only 10 minutes left in the game. If the offense doesn't come back, we're going out to get the opposition's flag. All right, the game is about to start. You stand with your team until the whistle blows. There goes the offense. Now you have to find a good defensive position. You move out a little, keeping in mind the flag is still behind you. On your right, you can see another defensive player covering the same area. Now you wait, watching ahead for any movement or sound. Sounds like a big paint fight up ahead. It's probably your offense against theirs. It stopped. Get ready. They'll be coming soon. There he is. Line up. Fire. You got him. Okay, everything looks good. The flag is still there, but there's only 10 minutes left in the game. Time for Plan B. You move out with the other players. Everyone spreads out and moves quickly. There it is, the opposition's flag. Don't be hasty. Take a look around and make sure the area is clear. There's one up ahead. A defensive player is hiding near the flag. You motion to your teammate to move around on him. Now you start firing to keep his attention. Boom! They got him. Now you go. You got the flag. Now get it back to your base. You did it! You won the game! As you can see, paintball is fun for everyone. So always remember, play hard, play safe, play fair. This is Fred Schultz from the Brass Eagle Corporation saying I'll see you on the field.